Mr. President, members of the legislature, I started by saying it's a good discussion. I started by saying it will let HHS know they're being scrutinized. I'm conceding all of it. You all don't hear a word that I say. There's some other language that I must be speaking. I think from what I hear with my ears that what's coming out of my mouth is English, but obviously it's not. Let me try to give you an analogy. You have a watchdog, and this watchdog is designed to protect your property. So the dog has a huge bark, woo, woo, woo. And he has eyes that flash fire. And out of his nose comes smoke. Then when he opens his mouth, all you see is a red cavern and not a tooth anywhere. Now who's going to be afraid of a toothless dog with a big bark? This legislation barks, but it does not bite. And you all are jumping up here talking about how much you support it. You can't beat me in supporting what you're trying to do, but you're not doing it with this legislation. The speaker ought to be up here telling you about how we ought to legislate. This is not my job. I don't have a position of leadership in this legislature. This is not my responsibility. I should let you pass this worthless legislation, then mock you and taunt you and ridicule you and satirize you and say, this is what the 48 of them do. And that's why when you tell me they outnumber me 48-1 and it's an unfair fight, I say, yeah, they need more help. What can I tell you? Look, we should love one another. How are you going to enforce it? Schools should educate children. Teachers should teach students. Books should contain pages. What have you done? That's not what a legislature puts into the statute books. Hear me if you will. What is the only thing that may be required in this bill? Drafting some rules and regulations if they want to. They may do that, but they already have done it. Laughter may be not only the best medicine, the only medicine in some cases. I look around this chamber at my fractious children. But a parent loves all of his or her children, whether they're hard-headed, inattentive, or any of the other things that fractious children may be. When you came here, did you tell the people you're going to put into the statute good advice and good intentions? Maybe so. I'll tell you what it boils down to. We just have a different view of what our responsibility as legislators is. You all are carrying out what you consider your responsibility to be, to send messages and express wishes, hopes, and prayers in legislation. And I view my responsibility differently. So what I need to do is start leaving you all alone and stop trying to persuade or convince you to do anything. Just put my views into the statute. I mean, into the record. When I bring a bill, what I do, I wanted to make some changes in the law enforcement methodology of collecting DNA samples because they were making sweeps through the black community, stopping people at random. No probable cause. So you know what I did when I wanted the legislature to do something about it? Not only did I bring specific cases with specific named individuals, I brought a court order that I'd helped obtain to make the city open the records to show what was the basis for going around taking these DNA samples. I presented the evidence. They didn't have to take my word for it.
Time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Chambers, you're recognized.
Mr. President, members of the legislature, I support addressing the problems that people have raised. We all are concerned about what happens in the area of foster care. I'm concerned about what happens in the area of adoptions, because I got a letter from a woman just a couple of days ago when she thought she was giving up her child and it would be an open adoption. And there'd be information passing back and forth, but there were other things not told to her, and she's very bitter because she feels like she was misled. So there are problems everywhere. But I don't bring a bill every time somebody brings me a problem. There should not be a proliferation of laws that are not well thought out. Senator Harms was getting to something when he mentioned, well, I'm not going to try to even paraphrase what he said, but you need some people who are competent, knowledgeable, professional, who are not connected to the system that is going to be evaluated and modified. As much as many of you all were eager to jump on board with the governor to reformulate HHS, you're not even giving that plan that you all supported so strongly a chance to do anything. You feel that because all of you are new, you have to support anything a new senator brings. I've been here a long time. Do you see me jumping up here supporting stuff just because somebody who's been here a long time brought it? It should stand on its merits. It should make sense. And this does not make sense. What do you know about any of these allegations? Who in here can stand on the floor and give a concrete example of retaliation imposed against a family? And what does the term retaliation mean? Does that mean if the social worker, caseworker, HHS official disagrees with what a foster parent wants, that failure to agree constitutes retaliation? What do you mean? And you're willing to put this in the law and have the legislature pass a bill that says, in effect, HHS is retaliating against these parents. And you don't know whether they are or not, but going to pass it on as a favor. Well, you can do it. You have enough votes. But because the majority says something ought to be done does not mean that the majority is right. It usually means that they have listened to one person and decided to tag along. You should analyze each one of these provisos and see if factual evidence has been presented to substantiate every one of them, because you're going to put this in the law as the statement of the legislature regarding what it deems to be true, what it deems to have been established by facts. So what if the bill is based on a bill in another state? Maybe somebody in that other state did their research, but it hasn't been done here. All that has been done here is to vent and to gripe and to whine and to moan. And that can be done during debate. But then to compress it into a determination to enact into law something that is not thought out, something that has no factual underpinnings, is not wise, in my opinion. I'm not going to offer any amendments. I'm not going to do the things I'd usually do to stop what I consider bad legislation. Somebody said the best way to show that legislation is bad is to enact what the people want. Give them what they want. So I have one more. Is this my second time speaking on the bill, Mr. President?
Yes.
I'll have one more opportunity to speak, then you can do whatever you want to with it, as I know you will. Thank you, Mr. President.
You are in support of the concerns and ideas that Senator Dubas has, listening to the testimony that has occurred. But a question to you: you simply feel that LB 461 in its form cannot be made into a meaningful, workable piece of legislation. Is that true?
In general, yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President, members of the legislature, if I were to be hanged like Saddam Hussein was, I would say what Saddam Hussein said: don't put a hood over my face. Let those who are doing this look at my face and look in my eyes, and let me look in their face and look in their eyes. I'm going to let you do what you propose to do. And you might ask, what do I mean, let you? How could I stop you? Oh, I have ways of stopping what I consider to be bad legislation. But I'm going to give it to you. Then people will see what's going to happen when I'm no longer here. People on the floor of the legislature will get emotionally wrought up because a bill is brought that deals with an emotional subject. They will not look at the language of the bill, and their emotions will carry them away, and they'll say, by God, we have to do something about that. And if this is the only thing we got to do it with, we're going to do it this way. And you're going to make a bad situation worse because you're going to make the legislature a mockery, a byword. We are passing laws. We are making laws. We're not just expressing our opinion. That's the way it should be. But in fact, all that's being expressed here is an opinion, a wish, and a hope. That's all. Pass this into law, and what do you have? Nothing. Suppose HHS ignores all of this. So what? There's nothing that requires them to do any of this. You say, well, they've got to formulate rules and regulations. They've already got them. You all are the ones who followed the governor into reorganizing HHS, and you lack confidence in him and the work you did, and you feel it's not going to do anything. So before the session in which you pass that reorganization bill is completed, you're coming back saying that HHS is not going to do its job. Therefore, despite all of the highfalutin language of how good that monumental bill of the governor's was, you don't believe it. And your actions speak louder than words. And your emotions carry a lot more conviction to you than anything I can say on this floor. I don't know anything else I can say that will get you to see what it is that you're doing with this piece of legislation, this piece of proposed legislation. You can go tell your constituents, we really did something about HHS, and everybody will say, I'm sure glad because nobody else can. What did you do? Well, we passed a bill that told what we intend for them to do. You did what? Well, we passed a bill that told them what we intend for them to do. Well, suppose they don't do what you said you intend for them to do. I think I hear my wife calling or my significant other calling, and I have to end this discussion. The Supreme Court just the other day threw out an attempt to convict a man for being a felon in possession of a deadly weapon, because in the statute that defines the crime, knife is not mentioned, and what he was caught with was a knife. The Supreme Court said, in effect, words have meaning. The word that you want to use to convict this man on is not in the statute. We can only go by what's in the statute. So You all are writing the statute now. Words mean something. And you have meaningless words in this item. So I'll say like Burger King, have it your way, have it your way. Hold the pickles, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. How much time do I have, Mr. President?
2 seconds.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President, I'd like to ask Senator Jansen a question.
Senator Jansen, would you yield to a question?
Yes. Senator Jansen, LB 775, the amendment 775 is the Revenue Committee's amendment. Is that true?
Yes.
Does that have any other bills incorporated within it?
Yes.
How many?
Yes, it has 886. Wait a minute. Just a second here. It had Senator Dirks' bill, 627.
So it's possible to divide. How many divisions can this amendment be divided into, do you think?
Oh, I think it's probably unlimited.
Few dozen?
If you would like to.
And that'll give us a chance to really understand what it is that we're doing.
Well, I think maybe if you'd 1, 2, 3 probably. Would
3
probably
divisions?
encompass it. 3.
And can you tell me what they would consist of, just in general?
All right. Well, the committee amendments, and then 334.
But what are the committee amendments?
I say within
the
the committee amendments, it would be LB 334, 886 and 519. Yeah, 886 and 519.
How long do you think it would take us to discuss this bill if we were to divide the question?
Well, probably 2 or 3 times longer than it would otherwise.
And how long would it take otherwise?
Otherwise, I would suggest a couple hours.
So I can get 6 hours at least out of this bill.
Well, you know, I've watched you operate for the last 15 years, Senator, and I think you could get 6 hours out of just about anything.
Do you think I could get more than 6 hours out of this one then?
If you chose to, you quite possibly could.
Would you like to see that done so that you can show us what the Revenue Committee has done and is presenting to us?
Well, you know, Senator Chambers, if we aren't working on this, we'd be working on something else. So.
I agree. Do you think that the people on the floor understand what is in that 120-page amendment identified as AM 775?
Well, I would believe if we would spend 6 or 8 hours here, they would probably know.
Right now, do you think they know? Probably not.
Basically, no, not everything.
If they knew as much about this bill as they did the last one, which was just a few pages, they don't know too much about it, do they?
Probably not.
I'll lay you a wager. I bet you could get this amendment adopted by 3:30 if I stay out of it. And I'm going to stay out of it.
Well,
and we're going to watch the little geniuses and the older geniuses work this very important bill over. But before I stop, is this the one that's going to combine some things together, or what? The original bill, what was it designed to do?
Well, to combine the property tax administrator with the Department of Revenue.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And you think that's a good thing?
Well, yeah, they will combine them together, but that position will still stay there, but you will be under the authority of the tax commission.
But I ask if you don't mind giving your opinion, and if you don't want to give it, I'll accept that.
No, I think it's a good move.
Okay,
yes,
who offered this bill?
The Senator Dirks offered the bill.
And
yeah.
did who asked him to bring it, if you know?
Well, I believe the Department of Revenue.
Are you sure?
I will let him speak for himself.
I'd like to ask Senator Dirks a question if I have a few seconds.
Senator Dirks, would you yield to a question in 1 minute?
Absolutely.
Senator Dirks, who requested that you bring this bill, if anybody?
Governor Heinemann.
And does it say, Governor who?
Governor Heinemann.
Oh, I thought you said Heidemann. I was going to say, that's quite a promotion. Does it say on the front of the bill, at the request of the governor?
I don't even know.
My goodness. So the introducer of the bill doesn't know, and the chairman of the Revenue Committee doesn't know, and I'm asking if anybody knows what's in the bill, and they're not sure what's on the cover of the bill? Thank you, Mr. President. I may have to speak one more time, though.
Senator Chambers, you are the next light. You're recognized.
Patience, Mr. President. Patience. Thank you, Mr. President. Members of the legislature, I'm a stranger to this bill. I have a tremendous flaw and defect. I read parts of bills. And you know the first thing I usually read about a bill? Page 1. Line 1. When we get below Legislative Bill 334. Introduced by Dirks, 40. I thought he's older than that, but we'll accept it as it says. At the request of the governor. This is the governor's bill. You mean to tell me the Revenue Committee did not know that they were dealing with the governor's bill? Mr. President, members of the legislature, maybe I do need to get involved in the discussion of this bill. But here's why I'm not going to. For a while, I'm going to let the legislature do whatever it wants to in its own wise way. And see what they come up with. But there are other bills I'm not going to just let go through like this. And I know that people are not going to take the time to read this amendment. It's too thick. There are too many pages. This is a society where short attention spans are encouraged. Gullibility and naivete rule. Now, when we get to a license plate bill, which in my opinion, speaking only for myself, is not worth the paper it was printed on, people will be able to grasp that and deal with it. But I'm going to do all I can to kill that bill. I'm not letting it go like I did the last one and like I'm going to let this one go. But when we get to LB 570, just because the Transportation Committee rolled over on it, I'm not going to. I'm going to roll over that bill. And I'm going to find out whether there was serious thought given to it. Why in the world? Well, I'll wait till we get to that bill. It gives us something to look forward to. Some of my colleagues will be able to doze and go other places, but I'm going to compile a record and show just how careless, how slipshod, how slapdash the legislature is. And I'm going to make a record which clearly declares my position, and my vote will follow it. I'm so tempted to address some things in this bill because it is an important policy decision that is being taken. I'd like to ask Senator Jansen a question or two.
Senator Jansen, would you yield to a question?
Yes.
Senator Jansen, as the chair of the Revenue Committee, were you present when this bill was heard?
Yes.
What is the benefit that will derive from doing what this bill purports to do?
It merges the Tax Review and Equalization Commission into the Department of Revenue, which they work very closely with right now. This would make it in one whole department.
And how is that a good thing? Could it become unwieldy by making one out of two?
Oh,
1 minute.
I don't think so. I don't think it's going. It will be unhealthy. They work together so much right now, anyway.
Do they agree on everything right now?
Well, if they don't agree, I have never heard of it. Right. Mm-hmm.
So why don't we just abolish one of them altogether then?
Well, that's kind of like what we're doing. We're putting the two together, and the one person, that is all she works on within that department is the equalization and revision.
And everything else from the other part will just go away. Is that correct?
Well, the other part, what I'm sorry, don't.
If you're merging one thing into another, there have
Yes.
to be at least two parts.
Yes, but they would still be part of the Department of Revenue.
For what purpose? They don't have anything to do?
Well, yes, they would. They would still be doing the same job they're doing, only they wouldn't be standalone. They'd be
Time.
within the Department of Revenue.
Thank you.